morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to have a little bit of a look at the top 10 cards from Paldea Evolved, because Paldea Evolved, it's not quite out yet per se, but we have had pre-release events, not all of them of course. We've just had the first weekend of pre-release events, but we have had the first weekend of pre-release events, and we have the full release coming up in just over a week, at least as I record this. So I think it's fair to say it's time to have a look at the very best cards from Paldea Evolved. Now, I have got it down to a top 10 this time, which I'm very happy about, because sometimes I end up doing a top 20 and it takes forever. But there are a couple of cards I want to mention before we get going. Now, Copperajah EX, I will admit I am incredibly biased towards, because it was one of the cards I exclusively revealed. However, I think this is a phenomenal card. 300 HP is extremely high for a stage 1. It's got an ability that says it takes 30 less damage from attacks, and it's got an attack for free energy that does 260 damage, which, when you combine it with something like a Chien-Pao, is basically enough to get a KO on like anything at the moment. Well, okay, not stage 2 EXs, but basically everything other than stage 2 EXs. I don't think we've got good enough energy acceleration yet to make this the monster I think it could be, but I want everyone to just bear in mind, if we ever get decent energy acceleration, this could be a phenomenal card, but even outside of that, I think this could be a really good card. Now, Meowscarada is a very interesting card. It's got the ability Bouquet Magic, whereby you can discard a grass energy from your hand, and then put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's a very nice ability, which is going to get a bunch of extra damage on the field, which is awesome. It's then got the attack Scratching Nails for 2 energy, 100 damage, but if there's any damage on the defending Pokemon, it's actually 220 for just 2 energy, bearing in mind that you're also, you've got the ability which is going to put the damage on there. I like this one very, very much indeed. And I'm also a big fan of Bravery Charm. Bravery Charm is a tool that gives basic Pokemon an extra 50 HP. And it's not particularly flashy, but it is a tool which I think is going to see a rather large amount of play, because an extra 50 HP is really good. So that's what I think the cards are that just fail to make the list. What makes the list? Well, in at number 10, we've got FORRETRESS EX, and I love this card, and I also think this could end up being way too low in the end. This could end up being just mean, frankly. Now, the attack is garbage, nobody cares about the attack. But the ability Exploding Energy says, once during your turn, you can search for up to 5 basic grass energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. If you searched out any energy in this way, this Pokemon is knocked out. Basically, you KO it. And yes, you give up 2 prizes, and that's a bad thing, etc. However, you then get to accelerate 5 energy from the deck. And don't forget that at the moment, we've got Iono. Sorry, this is the best official English scan we've got of Iono right now, at least as I record this. If you've got a better scan on screen right now, it's because I found a better one. But that's the one that makes you and your opponent both shuffle your hand and put them on the bottom of your deck and draw cards equal to your remaining prizes. That is going to be very good with this. Or for a while now, we've had Roxanne, that if your opponent's got 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, you can put them down to a 2-card hand. So what you can do here with FORRETRESS is KO a couple of these, or one when you've already given up a couple of prizes, and then put your opponent down to a very low hand size, and then just sit there kind of laughing at them while they've got very little to do, and you've got lots of energy on the field, and you're absolutely rolling. Yeah, this could be an absolute powerhouse card. In at number 9, we've got LUXRAY. And LUXRAY comes with a big old asterisk, and that is that LUXRAY only really gets on the list because of reversal energy, which we'll be seeing later on in the list. You see, LUXRAY is an interesting card because if you are behind on prizes, you can just play it from your hand for free. You don't have to evolve into it or anything else, you can just flat out play it, even though it's a stage 2. You've then got an attack for free energy that does 180 damage, and then 20 to yourself, but don't really worry about that. But we've got reversal energy coming, which is free of any energy when attached to an evolved non-EX Pokemon if you're behind on prizes. So essentially what happens here is that if you're behind on prizes, play LUXRAY, play reversal energy, and you've got an attacker that for a single energy can hit 180. It's really good. But the giant caveat here is if you're playing reversal energy, it's great. If you're not playing reversal energy, don't play this card because it's not good. Good. Now, in at number 8, we've got TING-LU, and this is another card for which I have a giant soft spot. And the attack here it's fine. It's not particularly good, it's just fine. Free energy, 115, you get to put 2 damage counters on a bench Pokemon. That's not what I like about TING-LU. What I like about TING-LU is the ability Curse Land, that as long as it's active, it says that your opponent's Pokemon, with any damage counters on other than EXs, have no abilities. Yeah, it's really good ability lock. Now, it doesn't work against the X's, but it does work against anything else, and that's awesome. Remember, we've got stuff like Hawlucha from Scarlet and Violet that can drop damage counters on 2 bench Pokemon, turning off their abilities. Remember, we got Koraidon in Scarlet and Violet that can accelerate 2 energy while ending your turn. But then, of course, you've got the energy on TING-LU, and you're ready to roll. And I just think this could be a really good deck. A lot of people are liking it, and I can see why. Now, in at number 7, I'm cheating just a little bit. I'm putting the new draw cards. And in terms of new draw cards, I'm going for Dendra, and I'm going for Grusha. These are not phenomenal new draw cards, but they are good options that I think a bunch of people are going to use. Dendra lets you put a card from your hand to the bottom of your deck, and then draw until you got 5 cards in your hand. Lets you draw a bunch of cards while getting rid of a card in your hand, which is very cool indeed. Grusha lets you draw until you got 5 cards in your hand, but if you've got no energy on any of your Pokemon in play, then you actually instead get to draw until you got 7 cards in hand. So for decks that are, just attaching 1 energy per turn and attacking, this is actually a really, really good option. And one that I think a lot of people are going to be using. These are not going to make their way into every single deck. That is just not the case here. What they are going to do is they are going to see a bit of play in some decks that can use them, but they're decent draw options that not every deck is going to have, and for that reason, I'm popping them together in at number 7. And at number 6, I'm afraid to say I'm cheating again. There is a bit of cheating on this list, there kind of has to be. And the cheating I'm going for here is new stadiums. I think there are 3 new stadiums that are coming along in this set that could end up being really good stadiums that end up seeing a whole bunch of play. So we've got Artisan, which could actually end up being the best among them. It just lets you search the deck for a basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box and whack it on your bench. Really good for a bunch of decks for getting going in the early game. We've got Calamitous Wasteland that says the retreat cost of basic non-fighting Pokemon is increased by 1. Really good, incidentally, with TING-LU, because your retreat cost is unaffected, because you're a fighting Pokemon, but their retreat cost is increased while you're sitting there turning off their abilities. And then less good, I still like Calamitous Snowy Mountain, that says whenever a player attaches an energy from their hand to a basic non-water Pokemon, they have to take 2 damage counters to do so. That's going to be good for decks that want to self-damage, but it's also going to be good for getting a little bit of extra damage on the field. I like all 3 of these stadiums. I'm grouping them together at number 6, and I feel good about it. Now, in at number 5, I think is where we get to the, oh my goodness, these are great portion of the video. Because we start off with Spiritomb, and Spiritomb is going to end up making some decks just a million times better. Now, as we often see with Spiritomb, it's not the attack, it's the ability. But what we've got here is basic Pokemon V in play, yours and your opponent's have no abilities. And it's not if they've got damage on, or it's not if Spiritomb has a tool. There's nothing else going on here. It is literally just Spiritomb's in play, abilities on basic Pokemon V are done. And this will get a bunch of other Pokemon, but the obvious one here straight off the bat is Genesect in Mew decks. Against Mew decks, this will turn off Genesect, and the great thing here is, if I start with this, then my opponent literally cannot use their abilities even turn 1 going first. It's great. It helps against other stuff, but Genesect is the obvious one here, and it's just a basic Pokemon that needs to be in play, so if you are ever worried about abilities on your opponent's basic Pokemon V, this is just absolutely phenomenal. Now, in at number 4, we've got SQUAWKABILLY, and this is a card which I am absolutely full-on, flat-out in love with. You see, SQUAWKABILLY's got the ability, it's called Squawk and Seize. Once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 6 cards, but you can only use it on your first turn, and you can only use one of them. It is a one-shot deal, and it has to be on turn 1. Doesn't matter if you go first or second, that's irrelevant, but it has to be on your first turn of the game. The thing is, it is phenomenal draw that is going to help get you rolling, and for that reason, I love it. I also really like combining it with Fortin. Remember, that can let you swap a basic Pokemon in play for a basic Pokemon in your discard, so kind of use SQUAWKABILLY and then Fortin it for something else. But the attack is actually not terrible on SQUAWKABILLY here. Single energy, 20 damage, attached to basic energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. Again, it's not an amazing attack we're going to be using constantly, but it is an attack which is going to see a whole, it's going to, okay, whole bunch of play might be an exaggeration, but it is going to see play. People are going to use it, but let's be clear, it's here for the ability. Now, in at number 3, we've got the combination of Chien-Pao and BAXCALIBUR, and I'm putting them together because I really do think that these exist as a pair. You see, Chien-Pao's got the ability Shivery Chill, that whereby, if it's active, you can go and search for 2 basic water energy, whack them in your hand. Then you've got BAXCALIBUR, that's got an ability that lets you attach your water energy anywhere you like, as often as you like. And then you go back to Chien-Pao, because you've got the attack Hail Blade, which lets you discard any amount of water energy on your field, and deal 60 damage for each one you discarded in this way. So Chien-Pao gets the energy, BAXCALIBUR attaches the energy, Chien-Pao does ridiculous damage. And yeah, round and round we go. This is awesome, I love it, and this is already proving to be a top deck over in Japan. Now, in at number 2, I'm putting Luminous Energy, but I'm cheating a tiny bit and I'm whacking Jet Energy in here as well. I don't think it's going to be quite as impactful as Luminous Energy, but I do think it's a very good card nonetheless. Now, Luminous Energy is one that we've been waiting for. It is it's an energy, a special energy, that is any kind of energy, but it doesn't double up. I.e., if you've already got a Luminous Energy on that Pokemon, then you have to treat it as a just colourless energy. But, while it's the first one, it's any energy. And that's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely ridiculous. This is one that we've been waiting for. This is a card that we have needed for a while. Having that option to give energy, any color energy to anything, this is a great card that is going to see a huge amount of play. Jet Energy is not quite on the same level, but it's still a phenomenal card because it's a colorless energy, but if you attach it to a bench Pokemon, you get to switch it into the active. So the classic example with this one would be popping it on a Comfey, for instance, in a Lost Zone deck, so that Comfey can go active and then use the ability Flower Selecting. It just gives you another pivoting option. But what's really cool about this is you attach Jet Energy to Comfey, it jumps into the active to let you use the ability, but then you've got an energy on there that you can immediately use to retreat and get another Comfey active and go from there. And for that reason, I'm a fan, ladies and gentlemen. I am a fan. I do think Luminous Energy is the better of the two, but I think these are phenomenal cards, and they're not the most exciting cards to have in at number 1. But when I'm sitting down with Paldea Evolved and I'm looking at the cards that are likely to see the most play and have the biggest impact, these come in at number 2. But number 1, we've got the combination of Iono and Reversal Energy, and this is not even close. And if I didn't group them together, these would be number 1 and number 2. It is as simple as that. Iono, as previously mentioned, makes both players shuffle their hand, put them on the bottom of their deck, and draw a number of cards equal to their remaining prizes. Reversal Energy, if you're behind on prizes, is free energy on an evolved non-EX Pokemon. These are a pair of cards that are great when they are combined with losing a game. If you're behind, these are great. These two cards are going to lead to gigantic comebacks, the likes of which we haven't had in the past few years of the Pokemon TCG. And it really is, for me, as simple as that. Comebacks have not been a big thing in the Pokemon TCG up to now. This will change that. And these two cards are going to have a phenomenal impact on the game, and it is going to be absolutely huge. These are number 1, and it's not even close. And there we go. Those are the best cards from Paldea Evolved, and put simply, Paldea Evolved is a very good set. It is going to have a big impact on the metagame. Expect to see a bunch, like every card I've mentioned in the top 10, I would expect to see at tournaments pretty regularly. The only one that could end up being accepted is FORRETRESS, but I have so much faith in that, I do think it's going to see a huge amount of play. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me which cards you want to see from this set. Tell me what you're excited about. Tell me what you're testing. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shoutouts on the channel, like the lovely Star of Dav, who's been a supporter of us for a while and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.